Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Country HQ Spotlight On podcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam Simon, and today I have an incredible pleasure of speaking with one of the rising stars in Australian country music. Joining us, are you from up on the coast, on the Sunshine Coast today, Beth?
I'm in Redcliffe, so not too
In
far
Redcliffe,
from the coast.
not too far. So she's from Redcliffe today, originally from Udina on the Sunshine Coast.
That's right.
Our guest today, Beth Lucas, she's been making waves with her powerful country anthems. It's a fantastic mix of traditional country, Australian country and alt country, and she's just released her latest single, Stoplight Town. I've been saying Spotlight all day, I do apologise, but it's One Stoplight Town, and we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into her experiences, such as performing at Gympie, working with amazing producers, fantastic collaborations, and so much more, all in a short, it's a 3-hour, 4-hour interview we've got today. So just kidding, we're in and out about 20 minutes. So Beth Lucas, welcome to the show. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a total pleasure to be here. And yeah, I'm excited to tell you all of the things. There's so much that's been going on in the last probably 12 to 18 months. So yeah, excited to share that with you and your audience.
It's been exciting to follow that journey. So it's even better to talk to you. So let's work our way backwards. Let's start One Stoplight Town. It's such a powerful song. It just grabs you from the very opening hook into it.
Thank
the
you.
Inspiration for the song, how's it come to life for you?
Yeah, sure. So I wrote this, I think maybe about 2 to 3 years ago. And when I was writing it, I wasn't really writing it specifically about an experience that I had, even though when I think back, I did grow up in a small town and my first boyfriend did have a fast car, but I wasn't, writing the story specifically about that experience. I just really wanted to write a story about young love. And originally the song actually was called Pick Me Up. And that's, the first line in the chorus. And I took this song to workshop in the Blue Mountains that I did, and I had the opportunity to have it critiqued. And the songwriting panel that weekend, or the mentors for that weekend, were Lynn Botel, Roger Corbett, and Alan Caswell.
Just a few renowned songwriters there. I mean, don't trip over those names you just dropped.
Yeah. And I was sort of put on the spot. I didn't realize that I had to provide a song to critique. So, there was a fresh song at the time and I thought, okay, this is just the song I'm going to do. And, I'd been performing it for a little while as it was. I didn't think they'd have much feedback, honestly. I thought, the song is written, this is how it goes. And then, played the song for them. And they all said to me when I finished, they said, your song is not called Pick Me Up, Beth. It's called One Stoplight Town, because that's the tag in the chorus. And there was a part in the chorus, in the second part of the chorus, where they just, kindly suggested that I rework and not so much rewrite the song in its entirety. The bones of the song were there. But they did say to me, your tagline, the moment in the song where people are going to remember is that line, One Stoplight Town. So, try to bring it back to that line. So, I just went away and I'd never really had a song critiqued before. So that was pretty fresh for me. But when you're sitting in front of people like that, you kind of have to take their advice because they are so experienced and they just want you to be better. So, what the version that you hear today is exactly that. And it was a challenge, of course, because I'd never really done that before. But at the same time, it did mean that I could expand on the storyline. I actually can't even remember what the story was before. There was another part in the chorus, but being able to bring it back to that One Stoplight Town and, the feelings of young love, but also, wanting to get out of a small town and make the love grow and take it on a bigger scale. That's kind of the message of the song.
But the song, even away from the lyrics, I mean, I'm also thinking about you should have called it Fast Car, and then maybe Luke Combs would have picked that up by accident. But you can take that up with Roger and Lynn later on and Alan. But the song itself, it has such a fantastic instrumentation. It takes me back to that sort of early 90s fantastic country period, which is perfect for now because country music's thriving just as much now as it was back then.
For sure.
Where does the inspiration then come from to stay true to that core? Is that your influence? Do you have those early country influences, or what are your musical influences growing up?
Growing up, we didn't listen to a lot of country, even though, I had that lifestyle. I grew up on a banana farm, in the Sunshine Coast hinterland. We actually, I think back now, and even though music was part of our lives, my older brother and sister, they were musical and we grew up in the church and, there was music all around us at the time, but we didn't really, have specific influences. My parents, they're a little bit older, so their influences were like, Roy Orbison or the Beatles. And then, growing up, for me, I'm the fourth out of 5 children. So a lot of my musical influences or inspirations for writing came from what my brothers and sisters were listening to, which my older brother, he was a rock guy and grunge guy. So like he grew up in, Nirvana, Pearl Jam sort of stuff. There was a little bit of that. But then my older sister, we listened to like mainstream sort of country, when Trisha Yearwood was really big, Shania Twain, those types of artists, but it wasn't the only thing that we listened to.
Yeah.
And for me, getting into country music was a little bit later in the piece. My background in music is sort of alternative and in the punk or kind of heavier music scenes. Even though I always played acoustic, that was kind of the scene that I guess grew up in. But yeah, I guess in terms of like influence for this song, I just wanted to write something upbeat.
Yeah.
And, a lot of my songs kind of are on the sadder side. And I guess that's like my emo background, I think you could say. But yeah, I was really intentional with wanting to write an upbeat song. And I think, with the theme of the song being, young love and those, fast-paced experiences, the first time you fall in love with someone, I think, that kind of fit with it. And then, yeah, my band really just brought it to life. That's sort of how we play it live and, just kind of made it a little bit more of that earlier East Country vibes.
But I think that upbeat thing, I was playing it the last couple of days and just trying to get ready for today. And thankfully I don't need a hairbrush anymore. But if I had a hairbrush and a tennis racket, that would have been it for me, I think, because, behind closed doors. But no one's watching this. I'll cut that bit out. But it is. It's a great song. And I can't wait to see it live. I think it's going to be, especially the full band, I think it's going to be a really amazing thing. So it's
definitely one of my favorites to play live. And I always joke about, well, not always, but sometimes, when I introduce the song, I kind of make a joke that, this one sounds a little bit like Wagon Wheel because it has the same chord progression in a different key, but, the same chord progression at the start. And if I don't introduce it like that, sometimes people get hyped up and think it's going to be Wagon Wheel, and then I, disappoint them. But a lot of the time, even though that does happen sometimes, the audience does still love it because it's got a familiar sound, and also, it is a livelier song. So, it gets the toes tapping, which is really nice.
There are some venues now that have banned Wagon Wheel. Like Jolene's is banned. You can't play Wagon Wheel.
I don't
Wagon Wheel
normally play it. The only time I really would play it is if I'm at a venue and multiple people have asked me to play it. Like I wouldn't normally put it in my set for that reason. I just think it's a fantastic song, but there's a lot of words in it. There's a lot of lyrics, and it's a really long song. You kind of get to the second or third verse, and everyone's over it by that point. So
exactly. How are you going to balance, like, you're talking about playing One Stoplight Town live? I think it could open your set. I think it closes your set. How do you balance making that decision where your songs set into your set list?
Yeah, for sure. I usually play it toward the end of my sets just because it is that more upbeat, and I like to end on a fun or positive, I guess, note.
Yeah.
But I do have a few other songs that I like to put toward the start that might be a bit more, not super upbeat, but there's still a positive theme.
Right.
So, opening with, maybe like a mid-tempo song that has a positive theme, go down to a few couple of sadder songs, and then bring it back to the upbeat one. And I think you kind of have to have that balance. And I think for me as well, because a lot of the stuff I do write is a bit slower or a bit more, I guess, deep. The themes of the songs are a bit deeper. It's nice to end on a note that's, really upbeat. And, usually by that time, people have had a few drinks and they don't really, not that they don't care what they're listening to, but, a lot of the time they're not as switched on by that point. So they, it's nice to end with a song that, can sound familiar to them and they can have a little dance to.
You've been working with producer James C. and the team from Airlock Studios. I mean, those who don't know who James C. and the people up here on that team, look it up, be educated. But it's a fantastic legacy to those people involved in the music industry. What's it like being able to work with the likes of James and his team?
So I only worked with him very briefly. Recording of One Stoplight Town was actually, and the Sessions that I did at Airlock Studios was part of my prize for winning the Eggers Country Music Talent Search last year. That's a mouthful. And it was a really fantastic opportunity. I mean, when I saw that was part of the prize, of course, that's like, oh my gosh, Ian Hope from Powderfinger owns this studio. It's a
Yeah.
really iconic place to record. And I wasn't nervous or anything about it in the lead up, but when I got in there, I just kind of got this, like I was walking through the building and it's not, it's not flashy. Everything's, neat and tidy and, there's so much history in there. But when I was walking through, I kind of was just looking at the walls and looking at the photos and all the, all of the history. And I thought, oh my gosh, all of the people who've recorded here, my name's on that list now.
Yeah.
What the heck? So like that moment was really overwhelming and really surreal, I guess. But it was totally relaxed. Like there were no egos. I didn't get to sing that day only because I was a bit sick, but I still tracked my guitars and, my band came in and we ended up recording the instrumentals for 2 songs. So hopefully we're putting that other one out sometime in the near future. Remains to be seen. But, just the experience, James, he's so down to earth and he was really, really professional, really easy to deal with. And he just kind of let us do what we would do normally if we were just performing a song live and really just let us be the musos and he, recording and that side of things, obviously he knows what he's doing. So, that was, but a really good experience and hopefully I get to go back there one day again.
It's funny how studios, like it's just a room. I was with your fellow Queenslander, Harmony James, a couple of years ago, and we we're at Albert Studios here. And he looked around and went, oh, that's AC/DC. The same room we're in right now. It's like, okay, maybe I'll stand up straight, like I'm at school or something.
Yeah.
But it didn't affect Harmony at all, but I was just there observing and we're doing some photography and it's just like, it's I'm not a church person, but that's the next best thing.
Yeah.
And so on. But it's funny, it's just a room. But it's the legacy, what it holds in Australian music and who's been there and who's worked there. And now you're part of that legacy, which is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you're writing your music, Beth, what comes first for you? Is it the lyrics and the story or is it the music or is it balances out sometimes it's one or the other?
Usually lyrics. I tend to get a bit of an idea. Not a lot of songs will come out sort of all together in one hit. It's usually a bit of a work in progress. I might have maybe one line or an idea that I want to try and expand on. But, I work as well as doing my music. So a lot of the time I'm not sitting down in a room and just writing. So, a lot of the pieces of the puzzles kind of happen separately. And then, when I do get that opportunity to sit down, I will, put the music to it. But that is, it can be challenging because sometimes I'll have a melody that I want to go with, I might be humming or singing along a little line that I've got. And then I go, okay, well, now I've got to work out what the music is to that because I don't know how to, so it's a bit of a work in progress. But usually lyrics or a theme, an idea will come first.
Is that something which is a little bit, talking to someone the other day, and the only word I can use is scary. I just got involved. Someone showed me a new thing called Suno, which you can put your lyrics into and it creates a song for you. Or you can say, it's AI, you write me a song this. And I did one the other day and I said, I put a song that I'd written. I put it in there. Write this in like a Nashville pop contemporary thing. And it was like a mainstream recording and it spat it out in 2 minutes. And I just went, that's cool. But then I also went, that's really scary for us as an industry.
So it gave you the whole song, instrumental.
So, it gave me the hot and the lyric and the vocal too.
Wow.
And it's not robotic, it's perfectly done. And it was 2 minutes. And it's like, that's very cool. First time you find like AI, you just jump in there for hours and get lost.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, but it's also for my friends and colleagues in the music industry, it must be frightening as hell.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
I could sit here with no musical talent whatsoever. Go, boom, bang, I've got 10 tracks, put it on Spotify and create this whole mystique around something which is not even real.
Wow.
Do you ever have to think around that not only from a commercial point of view, but also from that authenticity point of view, that some of the challenges you're going to face as a musician who is a fantastic songwriter and who believes in that authenticity?
Yeah, I haven't thought too much about it, honestly, but like
try not to.
Yeah, I knew that you could, use AI for lyrics or, that sort of stuff, but to actually make a full production, that is terrifying. And that, everespecially if it's coming out and sounding like a real person, that I don't want to know about. But it is a really scary thing for the future of music because, how do we differentiate what's been artificially created or what is real? Yeah, that I don't really have an answer. I guess, just a scary future. I mean, incredible that technology can do that. I think that is fascinating. Technology can do that, but definitely really scary for
I think one of the ways we're going to be able to survive and thrive through that is doing things like being an authentic songwriter. AI is never going to be able to replace the performance, but also doing things like creative things. Like you have this amazing trio with Amber Kenny and Joe Castley, Three Birds and the Truth. And I sat there, I saw you guys in Tamworth.
Oh,
and I think to myself, I could watch this all day. The interaction, the songwriting, the harmonies, everything just worked out beautifully. I mean, how did that come together for you? And how does that differ for you working in that trio from when you're performing solo?
Yeah. So Amber, Joe and I all met at Academy. Last year we all went together, but we met the year prior at a songwriting weekend. And we're all really different people, but we all just connected on some level. And Joe and Amber live quite close to each other, actually. So they only met, recent years as well. So they'd sort of been living in close proximity to each other, but never knew each other. And then, and met, and they had, started a friendship. And then when we all came to Academy together, we all just clicked and, we're a little bit, I think they're a bit closer in age. I think I'm about 10 years younger than them. But we still have really similar experiences. We're all parents, or we're, all mothers, and, we've all got really similar experiences that we've all gone through. So I think we connected on that level as well. And, the Three Birds trio that we're doing at the moment, it is kind of that writers in a round style at the moment. But we do have plans to write songs together. We haven't written anything together yet, but we actually, I know we're kind of going off course from Beth Lucas, but I'm excited to share it anyway. Last month, we actually recorded our first Three Birds song. So
beautiful.
We did that with Roger Corbett, and we're all very, very excited. It's going to be beautiful. It's a little song I wrote for my nana. She passed away a couple of years ago, and we've just been performing it as the Three Birds. And the really special thing about it is that there's 3 verses in the song. So we all get to sing the song and we all relate to the lyrics, even though, of course, I wrote it and, it's my experience with my nana growing up. I think the theme in anyone who's lost a loved one, or whether that be a grandparent or a relative or, family friend or whatever, you can relate to those experiences, especially when you had that person in your life when you were a young person. And it's just a really special song, and the girls, they both just shine on it. So we're really excited to be putting that out. I think we're going to try and aim for early next year.
Okay.
Maybe after Tamworth, but
fantastic. When you do, you're going to come, all three of you are going to come back here and we're going to talk about it, because I hear a very Australian version of the trio with Dolly and Emmy Lou and Linda Ronstadt there, and it sounds there. It's like, well, we haven't had a female trio, or a trio for that matter. We haven't had a trio in Australian music for quite a while, and I think you've found a niche there. And it's great because you all then have your own individual careers as well to draw on as well for that material. So
yeah, definitely.
I want to ask you, you have this amazing body art, your tattoos and so on. Is that a really distinctive part of your style and your presentation? Do any of those have any special meaning as they relate to your music, or are they separate from that?
A bit of both. So when I first started getting tattoos, I was really, what's the word? I needed every tattoo to have a really specific meaning. And, that was really important to me at the time. But then the more I got tattooed, it actually just became to me, if I love the art, there doesn't have to be some super deep meaning to it. If I love that piece of art, I'm going to get it, because that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's artwork. And, yes, it's an expression of self. So, I've got a few, really meaningful tattoos. Like I've got my family's initials. I've got some musical ones and that sort of thing. But then a lot of the other tattoos are, just moments in my life where I really loved that piece of art, or, the message that artwork was giving.
As long as you don't have your Dina for life up and down your arm, or
no, I've got
tattoo of the Ginger Factory or something like that.
No, nothing like that.
I want to ask, we're coming to the end of our discussion here and so on, but what's it like? You've got this fantastic new single. I've seen you perform live, both as Beth and as well as your trio. There's just an amazing energy to your music, an amazing drive. And I want to know how you translate that, and what's it feel? We always ask the same last question. What's it feel to be Beth Lucas on stage?
That is a very good question. For me and my performance, it really depends on the audience. I played a show up in Darwin recently, and it was such a beautiful experience, because the audience, so my sister lives up in Darwin, and a lot of the audience were her friends and her partner's friends, and they all specifically to come to the show. They weren't just, at the pub and there was live music. So it was a really intentional show and a really attentive audience. And that was a really beautiful experience for me. And I actually get a little bit more nervous when I play those types of shows because I know that the audience is there specifically for me, which, like I'm sure every artist would tell you this, when you're playing a show and people have actually bought tickets to come and see you, it's a very, I guess, humbling experience. And, obviously I'm grateful for any show that I play. But yeah, when you've got people in the audience who just, they're there to listen and they're listening to every single word you're saying, every note you're singing, every chord you're playing. And, they're having that beautiful experience too. Like I really definitely feed off that energy. And, some of the other gigs that I play, more of your pub gigs. But even then, if I play a song, whether it be my own song or a cover song that I love to play, and if I'm loving that song, that I'm giving that energy to the audience and the audience is giving it back to me. There's nothing really to describe it, honestly. It definitely, I've played some shows where, the audience, they don't care who's playing. So they're not interested. And that will affect me, because if I'm there and, I'm giving myself and my time and, my talents and those sorts of things, I'm there to do a job, and the audience, doesn't give two hoots, that kind of just, brings my energy down. And I have to be really conscious of that, because at the end of the day, I am doing a job and I'm getting paid to do that job. So, I have to do it well. So, but yeah, it really depends on the audience. So if you come to one of my shows, please listen.
Excellent segue. And you just took my closing line. So, and again, Beth's 100% right. You've got to go to these shows. Listen. That's all I'm going to say. Listen, feel, share an experience. The experience that is Beth. It's really great to talk to you. Congratulations on the new single. It's you're going to see, like in my zip code, if you look at your Spotify stats, you're going to see my zip code. My postcode is going to go through the roof there. So we love it here. It gets played quite loud in the very acoustic area that I've got. So I put it on to a few friends of mine. We had a birthday party a few weeks ago and it got played several times there. It was like
fantastic. Thank you.
Four Chris Stapleton songs, one Beth Lucas song. So we balanced it out.
Perfect.
And Chris Stapleton, if you're looking for an Australian support, Beth Lucas is more than available, ready to go.
Gosh,
so
could we make it happen?
Chris watches the show all the time. So look, Beth, thank you so much for your time today. It's really been a fantastic opportunity to talk to you. Congratulations on that new single. Congratulations on everything. I heard Gympie was a fantastic experience. So I missed that, but hopefully we're going to catch up. You're heading to Tamworth?
I am, yeah. We're organising it at the moment. So, yeah, doing a few shows with the birds and a couple of solo spots as well.
We get a bit closer, we'll get yourself and the other two birds on, as we say, and have a chat. But thank you so much. For those out there, follow Beth on her socials, her website, and her streaming platforms. She does a fantastic job maintaining that contact with your audience. And while you're liking and subscribing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the Country HQ Spotlight On podcast. Beth Lucas, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you on the road.
See ya.